On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Doing a Saturday show. Got some company coming over tomorrow. I think I'll still get a show out, but trying to maybe minimize the amount of news I've got to talk about tomorrow. We'll see how it plays out or how much I got to dig through, for that matter. But we do have a good show put together. Hopefully you guys check it out on the Saturday. If not, you didn't watch it, so it's okay. You don't even know about it. All said, we are going to kick this bad boy off. Got some good stuff going on. And obviously Jeffrey Epstein is the big news at the moment. Holy crap is right. We got psychotherapists that are actually seeing issues with people because of Trump derangement syndrome. Almost not a surprise.
Jonathan is in focus with me now. So first of all, identify it for us. You're in a session and you pick up on what?
Well, Harris, it doesn't take long for me to pick up on this. People are obsessed with Trump. They're fixated. They're hyper-fixated on Trump. And they talk about some of the features of this disorder. They can't sleep. They feel traumatized by Mr. Trump. They feel restless. I had one patient who said she couldn't enjoy a vacation because anytime she saw Trump in the news or on her device, she felt triggered. So this is a profound pathology, and I would even go so far as to call it the defining pathology of our time.
These people come to you for the things that you described. Can't sleep, traumatized, perhaps depression. I don't want to put words in your mouth. But at first, you are there to treat an illness, a disorder of some kind. And what you figure out is the trigger. Well, and Trump is the trigger for many of these people. And to be that fixated on a figure, on a person, it's simply not healthy. And our country has strayed so far away from where we once were. If you look at in the 80s when President Reagan was shot, people were united. He famously said, I hope you're all Republicans, to the surgeons. And the response was, today, Mr. President, we're all Republicans. But our country has lost that. We've strayed so far from that unity. Mm-hmm. And what do you see? Because you told me off camera, 3/4 of your patient load right now has what you're calling this TDS. Well, 3/4 of my patients will present with a lot of these symptoms, and within probably 5 minutes of seeing me, their hatred for Trump comes up. So if you're that hyper-focused on Trump, that's a real issue, and it's worth being treated.
And, of course, recently realized that TDS can also mean The Daily Show. So I was so confused. I saw what I wanted to see. Michelle Obama, I'm not going to actually play her playing. I just thought this was stupid. So now Michelle Obama is blaming white people for black people not being able to swim because they have to have straight hair because white people have straight hair. So black people need to look like white people, even though we seldom date out of our lanes. But what the hell, we'll play it because it's only a minute.
Worry about it. Let me explain something to white people. Our hair comes out of our head naturally in a curly pattern. So when we're straightening it to follow your beauty standards, we are trapped by the straightness. That's why so many of us can't swim and we run away from the water. People won't go to the gym because we're trying to keep our hair straight for y'all. It is exhausting and it's so expensive and it takes up so much time. Braids are for y'all so we can work harder and focus on the work. So why do we need an act of law to tell white folks to get out our hair? Don't tell me how to wear my hair. Don't wonder about it. Don't touch it. Just don't.
Not once in my life have I ever wanted to do any of those things she just accused white people of. I'm not sure about you. I know a decent percentage of my audience is probably white, but have you ever wanted to touch the hair? Ask them, why is your hair curly? I mean, it's just one of those things you sort of figured out, right? I mean, you guys don't really know how to swim. I've asked some black people that before, and they're like kind of laughing, like, yeah, we know. I mean, but I've never once heard them blame white people in our getting into their hair. When have we ever told you what you're supposed to do with your hair? Blows my mind. Absolutely amazing how they can blame us for everything. It's fantastic. Donald Trump truthed this out. Looks like many are suggesting, and rightly so, it looks like the most recent Batman, doesn't it? What's his face? Bruce Wayne? And Trump has before said, just to remind you guys, I am Batman. So a lot of people are thinking this might very well have more to do with the fact that Trump's been moving amongst the shadowy figures, not with them trying to capture him, but actually the other way around. And they don't even realize that he's been the one that has been coming after them in the middle of the night, if you will. The phrase, "I'm waiting for my marching orders," that came from a 2018 email written by Jeffrey Epstein to journalist Michael Wolff. The email exchange was released by the House Oversight Committee in November 2023. Wolff had asked Epstein to inquire if one of his contacts was interested in bringing down Trump. Epstein's email, "I didn't offer him time yet, as I need my marching orders," in a winky face there. He suggested he needed further instructions from Wolff before arranging a meeting with an anonymous contact. Wolff replied, outlining what Epstein should say and suggesting he imply that Wolff had tapes. At the time, Wolff was promoting his book Fire and Fury and was speaking with Epstein about his relationship with Donald Trump. The email also revealed Wolff giving Epstein advice on how to address potential media questions about his connection to the then presidential candidate. You see, there's been this strange ongoing conspiracy for quite some time with Epstein trying to tie him to Trump. And as we're going to hear in a little bit, Trump's like, if they would have had anything on me, they would have used it by now. But needless to say, here we are. Marjorie Taylor Greene, of course, this is the hill she's going to die on. That is for sure. And I don't mean any harm to her in any way, shape, or form. Marjorie, I wish you a very long life. I just wish it not in politics. I would like to see you out of politics as soon as possible. Now, you had tried running for Senate, and you had tried or thought about running for governor, and Trump had let you know your poll numbers were abysmal, so you probably shouldn't go for it. And you might have gotten a little butthurt about that. But here's the thing. If you wanted to get into higher levels of governing, you would have to understand the bigger picture better. And sweetheart, you've failed so many times to understand the bigger picture. And you've constantly chosen the wrong side, and or you're trapped in the muck. You got caught. You did something wrong, and now you're in trouble. Because essentially you are like Thomas Massie right now. Trump kind of went off on both of them. The Massie stuff, just more of the fact that Massie got remarried after within a year of his wife passing. I mean, there is no magic number of days that have to pass. So I kind of feel like maybe that one was a little like, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to dislike Massie. I feel like that's maybe not one. But, I mean, Trump's wife had passed away, didn't she? No, they divorced. They all divorced. I know one of them had passed away, and he didn't handle it well, but whatever. And he married a ex-Rand Paul staffer like that. And none of those things really bother me that much. I dislike Massie for so many other reasons that him marrying somebody a year after his wife passes to me is kind of, I don't know, effed up on our side a little, I think, frankly, to be honest, but whatever. Marjorie Taylor Greene, though, on the other side now, she's made all sorts of discussions about how that, you know, she's like, I never thought that fighting to release the Epstein files, defending women who were victims of rape, and fighting to expose the web of rich and powerful elites would have caused this. But here we are, and it truly speaks for itself. There needs to be a new way forward, she says. And then she had one other quote in here that I thought was funny. It goes, this and the Epstein files is why I'm being attacked by President Trump. It really makes you wonder what is in those files and who and what country is putting so much pressure on him. So again, jumping on the anti-Israel bandwagon. And again, there's plenty of room for that, but I feel like that's a card that needs to be played carefully. A lot of people just willy-nilly. I also find it interesting right now who is coming out with information that's one, very anti-Israel, which is cool. Again, wherever you want to stand on that's fine. You know, people like to call people names because of it. It's a funny one. And on top of that, we got the anti-Israel people kind of talking about what they think. They're sort of, a great example was Tucker Carlson's thing with crooks. We're going to talk about that here coming up. But there's this weird push by very specific people within the community of the conservative group, generally speaking, the more religious-y part of that, and the largest part of that. I'm not sure where Crowder fits into that. I haven't seen him pop up enough anymore. I think ever since he had that horrible video, the way he was treating his wife, I mean, I think a lot of people kind of lost favor with him, and he's also been horrible to many of his staffers. So I don't know if Crowder is even in the game that much anymore. But it is interesting how some of the people that are coming out, again, I'm not trying to just besmirch any people that you might be very fond of, but the biggest of the big people are the ones that are pushing some of these angles the hardest right now. For me, that's a red flag always. When there's this weird organization and it's the biggest of the big within our ranks, for me, it's questionable. Again, a lot of us, we're going to disagree, and that's cool. I don't mind. I don't mind being the one that disagrees. Donald Trump, truth this. He says, I am withdrawing my support and endorsement of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of the great state of Georgia. What I like is how, and we'll get the rest of this, but Marjorie's acting like, Trump's obviously bought and paid for. Trump's not doing anything. Why is Trump trying so hard to hide the Epstein files? And as we'll hear, first off, the Epstein files are in Congress's hands. They're not being held back by Trump at all. Now, maybe she blames Trump for, trying to hold the Republicans back from doing it, but I think Trump is acknowledging the bigger issue. If there was anything in there significant, it would have already come out. He doesn't know what's potentially been added by Comey's daughter, who's been fired, but she had direct access to these records, the Southern District of New York. So Trump figures there's got to be some stupid stuff in there that they are all fiending to try to get out. Now, we understand Raskins leaked some stuff, and we'll talk about that as well. But Trump continues, over the past few weeks, despite my creating record achievements for our country, including a total and complete victory on the shutdown, closed borders, low taxes, no men and women's sports or transgender for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, biggest regulation cuts in history, stopping 8 wars, rebuilding our military, being respected by every country in the world, as opposed to being the laughingstock that we were just 12 months ago, having trillions of dollars record-setting invested in the United States, and having created the hottest country anywhere in the world from being a dead country just 12 months ago, and so much more. All I see, wacky Marjorie do a complain. It seemed to all begin when I sent her a poll stating that she should not run for senator or governor. She was at 12% and didn't have a chance unless, of course, she had my endorsement, which she wasn't about to get. She has told many people that she is upset that I don't return her phone calls anymore. But with 219 congressmen and women, 53 U.S. senators, 24 cabinet members, almost 200 countries, and an otherwise normal life to lead, I can't take a ranting lunatic's call every day. I understand that wonderful conservative people are thinking about primarying Marjorie in her district of Georgia, that they too are fed up with her and her antics, and if the right person runs, they will have my complete and unyielding support. She has gone far left, even doing The View with their low IQ Republican-hating anchors. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. Marjorie's, you can be wherever you are with her, but she's done. She's doneskies. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a disgrace to our great Republican Party, Trump followed up with this morning. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a disgrace to the party after she lashes out at him on the Epstein files. Here's Trump talking about it on Air Force One with the press. This is pretty good stuff. Hopefully I'll be able to enhance the audio on this a little, because sometimes the questions are hard to hear. But fortunately, there's not clapping and shit, so I should be able to fix it pretty easily afterwards. Anyway, check it out.
On Epstein, sir, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman, was on CBS News. She was talking about how the files should be released. We anticipate that it will happen in the House. I know you've had about the investigation today.
I don't care about it, released or not. What I think you should do, if you're going to do it, then you have to go into Epstein's friends. This Reid Hoffman spent a lot of time on the island. I was never on his island. Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. You're going to have to look into his friends, because if they're going to do that, then I think the perfect guy to do it would be Southern District, somebody like Jay Clinton. I understand that's who's been assigned.
But does the congresswoman have a point though?
There were release of more files.
Does Marjorie Taylor Greene have a point?
Does she have a point?
I know nothing about her.
On the release of files, all the files.
Well, they can have whatever they want. They already do. I think they have 50,000 pages already. Look, this is a Democrat hoax. This is a hoax put out by the Democrat, and a few Republicans have gone along with it because they're weak and ineffective. But this is a Democrat hoax to get away from the fact that they just lost the shutdown, and they've lost the elections. They lost the big election, to me, in a record number. They lost the popular vote. They lost the swing states. They lost everything. I think it was 312 to 220 something. So this is a way of not talking about that. It's a hoax. This is no different than Russia. And it's headed up by Democrats and some very weak Republicans.
I was just wondering if you have a timeline
Very few.
for when you might release more of those files connected
Which
to
ones?
Democrats to Epstein.
Well, I don't know about those ones. I know nothing about it, but I understand they released like 40 or 50,000 pages already.
Okay.
And nobody. I will say this: if they had anything, they would have used it before the election. Okay? I can't tell you what they put in since the election, but if they had anything, you don't think they would have used it before the election? They would have gladly used it before the election.
So speaking of the election,
Jennifer,
well, why were you or why was your team encouraging Congresswoman Bober and Congresswoman Mace to not pursue
because
this?
we think it's bad to talk about it because it gets away from the subject of how well the Republicans are doing. We have the greatest economy. We have the largest investment ever made in our country's history. We have all of these great things happening. We have very little inflation, whereas he had record-setting, the biggest inflation in history. All of these things are good. And when you talk about the Epstein hoax, what happens is you're not talking about how well we've done.
Mr. President, on that subject,
That's the whole purpose behind them. They want to waste people's time, and some of the dumber Republicans like that.
Mr. President, on that subject, are we going to see?
It's mostly Democrats, by the way.
Are we going to see more domestic travel from you as you try to sell that message? Are we going to see some rallies?
Domestic travel.
Yeah.
Well, I want to spend time here. I just got back from a big trip, a very successful trip with China and with, all the countries. I saw many countries over there. We stopped in Malaysia, Japan, South Korea. It was a phenomenal trip. We had a great meeting with President Xi, who's, a great leader, great country, actually, whether you like it or not. China's a great country, amazing place. Japan, amazing place. We stopped in tremendous countries with tremendous leaders, and we did really well. We brought back trillions of dollars in trade and other things.
One thing that confuses, I think, a lot of people, too, with Trump's foreign policy, especially considering how his foreign policy was in the first term versus how it is now. And a lot of people see it as kowtowing, I think. And frankly, that's not what he's doing. He's being nice to people because it works. And what he's found is this whole name-calling thing doesn't work, and he's been playing heavy hardball against these guys with tariffs and everything else. So there's no need to attack them on a public stage like that. It's like, look, here's what we're going to do, and if you start calling me names and doing all sorts of stuff, well, you're going to adversely affect our relationship. And if you adversely affect our relationship, the United States probably won't be so happy to come to the table, return your phone calls, those kinds of things. Help you when you need help. So Trump is playing the game interestingly, and China right now especially, right? China, there's 4 things Trump's not supposed to talk about, and he's not, oddly. Now, he sort of tap danced on it there, but Trump, again, he's going to say the truth, but he's not going to necessarily talk about something that's overly offensive. In fact, I got a funny story we're closing out with Ohtani when he found out he was going to get the MVP award. And he kissed his dog, and everyone's giving him shit about it. We're going to talk about that. It's just kind of cute. It's cute and funny, and I don't know, Dodgers won, so I'm kind of stoked about Ohtani. The dude's a pitcher, and he hit 2 home runs. I just, whatever the hell. 3, I think, overall, but dude's a pretty awesome pitcher. $700 million contract, whatever. That's a little ways down the road. It's all said. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a persona non grata, I think. Reid Hoffman, of course, responds and says, this is obvious ploy. Oh, we'll find out, Reid. We'll find out, buddy, because I think all the Dems, all the info, I think is going to start coming out now that they're pushing so hard. And again, Trump doesn't do anything by accident. Yes, this is a hoax. He's upset at Marjorie Taylor Greene and Massey for really jumping on it because it's like, you guys understand what this is doing. Rather than focusing on the great things that we've actually accomplished, which you could be, you're focused on this other thing that, again, how everyone in the world can say that we've released all the documents, and they're like, nah, there's something I'm expecting. It's like, what document is it that you know is there that hasn't popped up? The list. What list? The list. What list? The flight list? Those have been released. I don't know. Everyone says there's a list. It should be released, but maybe it has. Again, the good stuff is likely destroyed. We're going to hear Birch talk about that. I think coming up, maybe the FBI tool thing. Yeah, it's the tool thing in the FBI. The deep state doesn't keep stuff around. I don't know how they found these burn bags. I'm wondering about that. That's kind of weird because these normally they're not that stupid. So maybe he was keeping some, I don't know. Maybe someone was keeping it. Maybe there was a good guy that's like, hey, take this burn bag, and he was stashing them. Hard to say. Most likely someone wasn't burning stuff like they were supposed to, or thought stuff was being burned that wasn't. So again, how this plays out is critical. Who gets caught up into it is critical. If we found out the levels of corruption of everybody involved with everything, literally government would shut down overnight. There would be anarchy. There would be total chaos because nobody would trust anything, and stuff would really just fall apart overnight. Bank runs would happen and stuff like that. I mean, it's just SNAP benefits wouldn't happen anymore. Grocery stores would almost immediately be destroyed. It would be crazy. So there's a path forward, guys, that maybe doesn't necessarily involve just, diarrhea out the mouth of all the truth at one time, but yet at a pace where we can repair and move forward, kind of like building a ladder as you're climbing up a ladder. You know what I mean? Like you're popping the rungs in as you go, and you pop in one more, and kind of is what it feels like to me anyways. Maybe I'm reading into it too much. Who knows? Prison staffers have been fired after stealing Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney-client emails and funneling them to Rep. Raskin, who then leaked the stolen material to media under fake whistleblower information. Literally, personal attorney-client information was stolen. Granted, she's a prisoner, but stolen from somebody and then given to a Congress member who then releases it claiming it's whistleblower information. Raskin's a lawyer, first off. If there's any truth to it, because it's Gateway Pundit, so a little twitch in it sometimes, you never know. They're pretty good, but they put a hard spin on stuff. We'll see. If that's true, though, right? Like, am I wrong on that? Isn't that, like, beyond crazy illegal? That is just radical to me. FBI, we got some... So I wanted to caveat really quick. Okay, so I talked about the FBI tool and what that was actually used for. The FBI tool that could find people online when they're doing posts and all this stuff. They've got tools. They got all sorts of tools. They know exactly who these candidates are that are either weak in the mind or are on certain pharmaceutics. Okay? They're going to talk about MK Ultra. CIA said, we don't do that anymore. They don't. MK Ultra has stopped. I use the term because I don't know what the new term is. I think Burchett's doing the same thing, or if not, we're referring to a very old program. MK Ultra specifically, I believe, memory here, with dates and shit's not the strongest, but I want to say it's 50s, 60s in that realm. I know LSD came into play, so maybe even in the 70s, but MK Ultra was kind of done by then, or under new names. They've learned how monitors work, how to flash them, frequencies, hertz, colors, patterns, games. There's a lot of things they do. They have been programming, and the ones that are on the right meds, the ones that are jacked up just in the right way, they know who they are. They've got tools. They can identify these people. Then they start to work on them in different ways. One, they might try to get them into a certain video game that's got certain color flashes in it or certain places. Again, I know this sounds crazy. I know, unfortunately, more about this stuff than I should. It is the way it is. They know how to find these people. They know who to look for. So don't run around saying, it's MK Ultra. It is. It's the concept of it, but they're vastly further along than what we call MK Ultra. Any sort of deep digging rabbit hole you go down on MK Ultra, it's that times like 1,000 at this point. Whatever that even means. But they've got pharmaceutics that are playing parts. Voice to skull, all the stuff. So just know that. And then this will make even more sense.
MK Ultra.
I'm going to toss to you. That's right. Yep.
They got sued. They said it didn't exist. And then they got sued. And they said, it exists, but we don't use it anymore. So I don't believe them as far as I can throw the dome off the dadgum Capitol, Benny. You got a kid who's got access to guns or has some simple knowledge of a firearm.
And just to remind you, this is Crooks. Sorry, I didn't really spin that up properly. But they're talking about how he was an MK Ultra. Sorry, keep going.
He was programmed. You're exactly right. They programmed this kid, and Kristi Noem and Cash and Bongino and the rest are reporting the facts as they know them. The facts have been buried or burned, or whoever knew is either sitting on a beach somewhere and enjoying a fruity drink, or they're dead. I would suggest they're probably dead. And this is what happens. You claim it doesn't. They label me and you conspiracy theorists, but this is exactly what we see happen. And it happens in Washington. It's happening now. It's too deep. It is. And that's why I said, I wish they could go in and just fire everybody and then just start back. But you can't do that because of security. You're going to fire some good people that are clearly have their thumb in the dike on terrorists or what have you. And that's where we're at. That's why Cash Patel and Bongino are having such a hard time. Kristi Noem, either way, I don't give a rip either way. But I think at their level, that's what's happened. And that's I don't care. You can call me a lunatic, but when the CIA says this thing, we don't have this thing, and then they're brought in, their asses are brought into a court of law, and they say, well, we have it, but we don't use it anymore. Apparently somebody's using it. They know to contact these people. If you look at the Muslim radicals and how they recruited them, you remember they had the American Taliban or whatever, that kid they caught, and nobody talks about that anymore. Nobody even remembers it. I think his parents were Americans. They went to the Greek church or something. That kid was programmed. And you're right. They watched the crime scene. I live in Knoxville, Tennessee, brother. If there's a murder out here, our sheriff's department's got that thing blocked off. They got a tarp over it, and they've got it, cleared. Nobody can get up on it. Nobody can contaminate the crime scene. This is Knox County Sheriff's Department and the city of Knoxville Police. And I guarantee you, my Blount County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Wrong, all those people always close off the crime scene. This is casebook. And also one other thing, I sponsored some legislation dealing with cremation, so I know a little bit about when they bring a body in. There are probably laws in that state that they violated because they cremated that kid, I think, pretty quick, if I'm not correct. If you might,
you might 11 days. Yes.
Okay. And if there was an investigation going on, there's probably something in the law that says you cannot dispose of the body. And I think you're right. I think all of it was washed, it was planned, and we just got lucky. I'm very close. I'm related to a Marine sniper. And I called him after that. I said, what do you think? He said, Tim, I could have made that shot with iron sights, without a scope, with all that stuff. We just got damn lucky. God shined his favor upon us that day. If you don't believe that, the Bible talks about God knows if a sparrow falls from the sky or how many hairs are on your head. Dadgum, I believe it.
You are alleging that Thomas Crooks was groomed by some type of dark intel program, MK Ultra or otherwise, in order to commit on that day the act of an assassination.
I think so. I've said that all along. I've said that, and I'm glad somebody with Tucker's credibility, his ability to, and it's my dog snores over there. Sorry for that. With his credibility has brought it out, because I yell this stuff all the time and people just, it's just perch it. But look at the history. Look at where we're at in this country. Look at the deep state, the sewer as it is. And it's disgusting. And this is what happens, dude, when 12% of the population goes to the polls. They know we're so vulnerable, and we have very, very few people in the lineup that could do the damage to them like Trump. Trump's right. They're not after him. They're after us. He's just standing in the way.
And doing a damn good job. And also think of Charlie Kirk's murderer. Right? Again, I have no doubt at all that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I have zero doubt. If it was Israel that was behind it, so be it. I think it was the deep state behind it. They couldn't kill Trump which likely would have done the same thing killing Charlie Kirk did. It would just massively multiply the problem for them. But Charlie Kirk, they cleaned up that crime scene immediately. I don't think there was actually a hologram, but I'm not going to, whatever. You guys want to believe that. I even demonstrated one time, do some research on it. But the best hologram equipment that I've seen out there requires a box. And inside their own box, they can produce something that looks real. But projectors, from the projector standpoint, not that good. Not even close. And there's no way they could have done a project. I don't know. Unless they're using military. Again, this would have to be extraordinary equipment, but the best stuff I saw was a contained box. It was a box, and it was 3D printing, 3D showing the hologram inside the box. So it was like a 3D TV almost. It was weird. It was cool, but it was not projected. And I just think projecting would be tricky. You would need to get it from multiple angles to ever create a really, really good projected real kind of image. So I just don't think that was the case. He might have had something weird behind him totally that, could have been a projector of some kind. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not trying to piss on anyone right now because I know people, it's like 9/11. People get very pissed off if you step on their theory. And it's just funny. And again, I'm just sharing my thoughts, okay? That's all. I'm just one of the people that doesn't necessarily go along with everybody else. And I think that's hopefully important with what I'm trying to do. Oftentimes not easy, and maybe I'm not right all the time, but I'm not closer to most of the time. We'll see. I'll let my record speak for itself as it stands, right? I'm always happy to be wrong, and I'll fall on that grenade every time. All said, we've had this used against us a lot. And as individuals become high enough priority targets, then assets like this can be used. They are able to create them reasonably easy. And so it's just one of those things. It's one of the reasons why there's many, many times where I ask God, I'm like, why is my channel not bigger? And God's like, do you really want it to be, Dan? And I'm like, I get your point. Get your point. That's why the ripple makers matter most. You guys enhance the reach to where it maybe could be on its own, but I need you guys. Makes it easier, makes it harder to see me. So this hopefully makes more sense after what we just watched. FBI Director Kash Patel posted this. Crooks case overview. Now, I don't know why he doubles up on stuff here, which I don't understand, so I don't know if I'm going to read it twice. But the paragraph here at the top, over 480 FBI employees were involved in the Thomas Crooks investigation. Remember the Tucker Carlson thing I just shared? That there was other accounts, and Tucker Carlson had accurate records of that. And so obviously he was presenting or presupposing that the FBI had not done their due diligence, that somehow Tucker Carlson was able to do his due diligence. Now again, I'm not trying to say someone's right, wrong, indifferent, whatever. What I am saying, in my mind at least, is I think it's very strange. Tucker Carlson's a very intelligent man. Tucker Carlson's been around the block. Tucker Carlson comes from money. Tucker Carlson understands a lot of this stuff. And he's a pretty nice guy, but he was on Fox News, by the way. Nobody ends up there that isn't part of things. Just saying. For him to come out and sort of push that narrative and then have others start to echo it is interesting. So Kash Patel, all he can do is say what they've done. Over 480 FBI employees were involved in the Thomas Crooks investigation. Employees conducted over 1,000 interviews, addressed over 2,000 public tips, analyzed data extracted from 13 seized digital devices, reviewed nearly 500,000 digital files, collected, processed, and synchronized hundreds of hours of video footage, analyzed financial activity from 10 different accounts, and examined data associated with 25 social media or online forum accounts. 25 social media accounts. Tucker, I thought, was just talking about one. Now again, how many people have this idea in their head that things should be different than they are? We're told I trust Kash Patel. I don't care what anyone says. I do. I trust him. I watched him for all the years during Biden And certainly while he was in, I was moderately aware of him. But he has been stellar from day one. And his government gangster book, which I have not read, but as I've heard people talking, it's just, yeah, it's like he hit the nail on the head. This dude knows. Kind of like Flynn. He kind of knows where a lot of the bodies are, if you will. So I don't think he's going to lie to us. Personally, I don't. Now, with Tucker, he's a deep state guy from Fox News. He's been in media for his whole life. He comes from a certain family. Again, not trying to besmirch him. I enjoy watching him. He's very entertaining. But I don't know. So it's weird to me that someone like Tucker would kind of be going against the grain a little. You know, like petting a shark backwards. Might be a bad reference, but whatever. It's lost on people. Sorry. One way it's smooth, the other way it's rough. So who do we blame? Who do we trust? Who do we know? We don't. Now, is Tucker maybe intentionally helping the white hats with disinformation? Because if we're too close to the truth, where I sometimes worry about myself. You don't want to be right 100% of the time, right? Because then the deep state's just going to sit there and watch my stupid show, right? I might have 12 of them, but that 12 will be enough. Not that I'm intentionally misreporting. I'm giving the best I can, but there are probably times, I mean, there's times where I literally lose train of thought. I think those are a lot of them. But I just, you've got to take it from the bigger picture. If anybody was spouting the truth, that would be problematic, right? Right? I mean, am I making shit up? If anybody was spouting 100% the truth and then kind of like sort of selling their credibility on it, if you will, like someone like me that just accidentally right all the time. Again, that's why I don't acknowledge any of my skill sets or tools. I'm not going to. I don't want to. They are what they are. Take it or leave it. I don't care. But I'm not going to try to sell myself. I present who I am, and if that's good, and I think a lot of people I've heard, I am. This is me. Like when you meet me in real life, this is me. I mean, I am me, right? Like maybe. This is it's a show. Like I'm not gonna be like looking sad today, man. It's like I got really bummed. I'm not gonna do that. It used to bug me out when this. I'm not trying to be mean to Ron. Ron was a great guy. I've got respect for Ron in his own ways. He's going through his own sets of stuff, but he would come on. He had a lot of cats, apparently, lots of cats, and they were sort of dying off at an extraordinary rate, it seemed. So he always had my cat died. He wanted to start to show off with. It's like you want to come on, man. You want to make it entertaining. You don't want to be starting off. Yeah, so my dad died today. It's like well, that puts a big shit stain on the old show, doesn't it? So again, we're all playing the part we best can. I think Kash Patel's sharing information. Tucker's doing what he's doing for whatever reason he's doing it. I don't presuppose. These are big people. When I don't know. I just start to worry when they start making huge sums of money. I'm like, one, that's just awesome, I guess. But then two, it's just like, how? Well, I mean, I get it, but I don't, So, yeah. We all have to kind of make our own assessments with that. And again, this far into the show, and I'm only 40 seconds. It's pretty awesome. I just want to remind you guys, of course, of the wellness company, incredible company, twc.health/OTF, twc.health/OTF. They've got some really, really great products. The Revive set of products they've got right now, the ivermectin collection. Again, I highly recommend it. I'm on a small break. This really messed with my appetite, taking it as hard as I did. So I'm telling you one thing, don't get crazy on it. It is supposed to be taken for like 3-week period and then off for a little bit and then back on. And you can kind of keep hitting that stuff. So taking it heavily for long times is a little heavy duty, right? But again, it's pretty good. It's funny my weight, what it's down to right now. I've been oddly low for me. Like normally I was able to hold 173 to 175 as a regular. Right now it's like trying to get back to 170. I'm like 169, 170. I was at 1717. So 171. So 171.7. Well, and that was a cool number, right? 1717. I chuckled. I literally laughed. I chuckled because I talk about it all the time, right? And you can manifest things in your own life, but I manifested my weight being 171.7. And again, ivermectin, I think, played a huge, this parasite cleanse. I've done it twice, and I've still got some more, and I'm going to do it again. Played a huge role in that. I know that. I know some of what I lost wasn't just, sloughing off some of the nasties, but some of what was lost was the parasite's abilities to mess with me, to affect my weight, to hold on to things and not allow me to digest, like whatever it was happening, creating extra weight that I couldn't get rid of. Now, again, weight loss, there's better ways to go about it. First off, I highly recommend my Feel Great product that I talk about. There's a link below. What is that link, by the way? Just in case, not that it matters, but that otfspecial.com, if you want to check that out. That's awesome for health, by the way. It helps with your AO1C, help lowering those numbers. I highly recommend that. Significantly less expensive, and I think it's not really pharmaceutics. So, all said, they do have drop, and people are noticing drop help their weight control a lot. It's actually helping with metabolism, helping with a bunch of stuff. It's kind of the easy way to go about it, I'll be honest. But it is showing results, and not terribly fast like Ozempic and stuff like that, which you don't necessarily want. Again, so there's a lot to be said. But they got the Recharge Methylene Blue. They've got a TheraBlue pain gel that people are just raving about right now. So if you're someone that's got some weird pains in places, this actually helps. Even if someone that work out and you got some soreness, TheraBlue, this stuff just works really, really well. They've got a plastic detox. And this is, I'm sure, causing us all sorts of problems. They've also got hair regrowth stuff. So a lot going on. And they've got, of course, the Ultimate Spike Detox is a really big one we talk about. And then the emergency kits are incredible. They've got a contagion kit, which has all your antiviral stuff. It's an antiviral stop. It's also got the Z-Pack, so you got an antibiotic in there in case you get some infection, which I have finally totally killed. Still got some mucus going on, but it's lost all of its color. So health is close, my friends. Health is close. The throat, you can still hear it in the throat and the nose. That'll hopefully within a day or two, I'll be able to start talking like I used to. All said, twc.health/OTF. That's twc.health/OTF. Make these healthy choices, get into healthy living, and give yourself a chance to protect yourself against those nasty bastards. And that's basically what I'm saying. Suspect arrested in an attack on a U.S. attorney's office. So I was talking about this yesterday. Not that I was right, but coincidentally, within 24 hours of me suggesting that maybe they put the story out like, hey, if anybody's got any idea where this guy's at or who it is, let us know. And then this dude finally crawls out of his secret hiding place. And then all of a sudden, Pam Bundy's like, we got you, bitch. So I think they got him. And he was 51-year-old Keith Michael Lisa. I just can't help but think that's funny. 51-year-old guy, and he's busted. He walked in first with a bat, and they wouldn't let him in. Security's like, you can't take a bat in here. And he's like, nah, we love talking baseball. And he's like, no. So he came back and then just threw stuff over and pulled pictures off the wall and made threats and all this stuff. Trump says he's going to sue BBC lawsuit up to $1 billion to $5 billion is essentially his quote. So we'll see if there's actually going to go. I heard someone speculating that would actually probably cause BBC to go bankrupt because otherwise it would require the UK government to pay it or give them money, and UK's government is broke. So they'll be like, no, sorry, man, we don't have that kind of money to just waste. 5,000 dead people getting SNAP, 500 getting benefits twice. We talked about this, just wanted to keep it on the burner. This SNAP stuff needs to be redone in a big way. I actually think it should be sort of federalized too. I don't think states should get the money. I don't think states should be involved in putting the money out. I think that's one thing that should be immediately removed. That would get rid of a lot of stupid jobs, a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of crap. So honestly, I think, I'm just going to probably keep talking about, not that anyone else is necessarily saying it, but they talked about this with the insurance money, and I think it's a great way. Give it straight to the people. I think the same thing with SNAP. Give it straight to the people. Make them go to the federal government, redo your request for SNAP, and then the federal government prints the EBT cards, mails those to the individuals themselves, and controls it that way, and just takes the state out of it entirely. Now, the states will all sue, all 50 of them. Every single senator will be against this. Everybody will be against this. Now, I don't know how Trump can pull this off, but we have to get our corrupt senators out of the process in a lot of cases. And certainly we've got members of the House that are less corrupt, but certainly are corrupt as well, especially some of them that have been there a while. We got a huge problem, guys. It's not easy to move this stuff forward. And then you got people like Marjorie Taylor Greene that just don't get the big picture. DNC unions furious over 5-day in-person work week that's going to begin in February. They've told them recently, look, here's the thing. We need you to come back, work full-time. And they're like, no, man, we won the election back in 2020 without, with working remotely completely. So what do you mean? But they left out the whole 2024 fiasco, right? So the DNC, the Democratic National Convention or Committee or whatever they are requiring people work in the office 5 days a week. And they're woke people, they're snowflakes, are having a huge problem with it. I think it's hilarious. House committee threatens subpoena over no show on the Act Blue fundraising issues, the big probe they're doing. And they just didn't show. So now they're threatening a subpoena. We'll see where it goes. Attorney General Pam Bondi responding to Trump's request to have the Epstein hoax looked into, Larry Summers, Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, J.P. Morgan, Chase. Like, hey, look into all those people. And Pam Bondi said, thank you, Mr. President. SDNY U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton is one of the most capable and trusted prosecutors in the country, and I've asked him to take the lead. As with all matters, the department will pursue this with urgency and integrity to deliver answers to the American people. She's on it. And she put the dude that they put in at the SDNY, who's initially, who's the first one they put there? I'm drawing a blank. But that one that worked out its full days, and then they freaked out about him, but they were the ones that kind of kicked in the door. I don't remember who it was. I don't know if it was her or not. I don't think it was Shapiro, or Piro, whatever her name is. Anyway, here's her talking about the potential criminal probe that might be going on into Matthew Graves. Interesting how they ask about this.
And so I had a lot to catch up on. I had a lot to make sure I was able to follow through on. So, for example, when Matthew Graves was here, one of the biggest complaints during the Biden administration was
a Biden appointee.
He was a Biden appointee.
And a protector of Hunter Biden.
Yes.
Very famously, he declined to join the prosecution with the U.S. Attorney David Weiss in Delaware. Do you know anything about that? Have you found anything, any material in the files about his decision on that?
You know, if I did, I couldn't tell you, Miranda, because my job and my charge as a prosecutor is really to put the evidence where we can prove it in court and not to talk about it. So historically, prosecutors have always said we don't confirm or deny the existence of an investigation unless there's something ongoing that we can confirm that's pretty much visual to everyone else. But
She smiled. Who knows, right? We're maybe reading the tea leaves on that one. We've got Vice President J.D. Vance talking about how we're going to see prosecutions, some additional stuff. I think this might be a good addition of information for y'all.
Last question. Arctic frost, it is getting bigger, and I talked to sources this morning. It's about to explode. And things that we thought were long lost and gone, I want to be a little cryptic, are not lost.
That's right.
And they're not gone.
That's right. Yeah, I want to be a little cryptic, too, because I know that we're it's still in the early stages of this investigation. But look, Sean, I think it's one of the great scandals in American history. I think this is definitionally the Biden administration, the deep state, using the apparatus of justice to go after their political opponents. And I also think it raises a very critical issue and something that I'd encourage my Senate friends on the Republican side to wake up about, because eventually you're going to see prosecutions, not just Arctic frost related, but on a whole host of other issues. Eventually, we need certain subpoenas that have to be issued by a court. Eventually, you need local prosecutors, U.S. attorneys, to go after some of these people in a court of law. If you can't get a U.S. attorney appointed because the Democrat won't give you a blue slip, or you can't get a judge confirmed because the Democrats are gumming up the work of the Senate, Republicans have got to open up their perspective a little bit. And again, I said that some of these people are very dear friends of mine, but why do we allow the blue slip process to prevent the president from appointing a U.S. attorney? Why do we let the blue slip process make it impossible for Donald Trump to appoint a federal judge in California? If you want justice, you've got to empower the President of the United States to actually appoint the officers of justice all over the country. The Democrats are stalling that, and we're going to wake up in a couple of years if we don't have more U.S. attorneys approved, if we don't have more judges approved. We're going to wake up in a couple of years and realize that we've done a lot of great work at the Trump administration, but justice is not being meted out as it should be because we don't have the people on the ground. That is a big problem, and I know that that's somewhat unrelated to Arctic frost, but it actually is related to Arctic frost, because you cannot get the justice for the people who are targeted by the Biden administration unless we've got good people, especially in these U.S. U.S. attorney's offices. And that's something, Sean, we got to pay attention to over the next year.
It's sad because the statute of limitations. I make the argument all the time that from the moment he and Melania came down that escalator, they've been out to destroy him and using the very
100%.
heavy arm, deep powers, deep state to do it. And
spying on him, prosecuting him,
horrible.
Investigating
Senators, congressmen.
Congressmen who are just aligned with the President of the United States. You're right. Some of this stuff is going to get covered by statute of limitations.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff, Sean, some of this stuff we can and we should prosecute. And I'm just telling you, this is going to be a real problem. And the people who watch your show are going to get really pissed at Senate Republicans, excuse my language, if we don't have the U.S. attorneys on the ground to actually achieve justice. People are going to get angry, and rightfully so.
Yeah, big time. And I was just trying to close this, but that was not as easy as I wanted it to be. Kathy Hochul says she's considering a massive corporate tax hike to fund Mamdani's socialist policies in New York. They are going to make it impossible to keep businesses in New York City. And the ones that actually stay are just going to be crazy. I don't know why they would spend that kind of money. Chicago mayor asked the UN to intervene in Trump's deportation efforts. The UN. This guy is so disliked, Brandon Johnson. I love it. Newsom also disliked more and more every day. Newsom again avoids accountability amid Palisades fire fallout. Says we're on the tip of the spear in climate change and all this stupid stuff. He still hasn't really helped get the permitting process really moving along. They don't want those people to rebuild those homes, and they're fighting it all over the place. So Newsom is just, he's just, you guys obviously don't want him for the nation. I know my audience doesn't. I'm not preaching to anybody in my audience, especially at this point in the video. Business groups asked Supreme Court to block California's emissions reporting. This reporting essentially requires a company to acknowledge that they're actually emitting global warming stuff. And most of these companies are like, I've never said that. We've never said that. We've never been about that. So to force us to admit to some crime that we don't think we're committing, kind of basically, is absurd. So I don't know. We'll see. But they're asking the Supreme Court to get it. It's Kagan is the one that's basically going to decide. She's the one that would choose to take emergency Supreme Court measures like this. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's something I think that is going to be going into effect soon. And I think that's why they've got to skip the appellate process, because there's just not enough time. I think it goes into effect in January or something to that effect, or just recently went into effect. And if it goes further, then they've got to actually do the reporting. Something to that effect. Whatever the case is, they're running out of time and going through the whole appellate process and first district, then appellate, then finally Supreme, just take too long. DHS deports violent migrant judge tried to hide from ICE. So the dude that, remember that judge, if I can find her name, the one that tried to hide the illegal alien who was in there. Yeah, Hannah Dugan is her name. She was Milwaukee County. Tried to hide him, take him out the back, got caught doing it. She's tried to drop the charge, and they said no. And so the guy that she was trying to protect, he has been officially deported. And the deportation judge essentially said, man, I hope you can find a job and stuff, but you're outie. You're out of here. Now the Indiana GOP, apparently they're throwing in the towel on redistricting. They don't have the votes. This article tries to blame all sorts of crazy places and stuff, but ultimately they don't have the votes. So that's why it wasn't able to be pushed through. Is what it is. It's just some of these news sources, you get used to the spin they put on, and you're like, all right, I'm going to talk around your spin because I don't necessarily like it. Michigan Republicans asked Justice Department to oversee state's 2026 elections. This is kind of cool, and I'm curious to see where it goes, but Democratic Secretary of State, who's I'll see if I can read some of this. So yeah, we have Jocelyn Benson, right, because she's Secretary of State. Here we have her last year allowing Chinese nationals to vote in our elections. Let's see what else we've said. We have over 100% voter registration here in Michigan, and we have the Secretary of State running to be the next governor. She's lost lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit over the last 7 years as she's been Secretary of State here in Michigan. She's ignoring subpoenas from the Michigan State House right now. She's ignored court orders in the past. She has a history of not following the law, and she needs to have some oversight over her. That's pretty bad, and she's running for governor. Who do you think's guaranteed to win if we don't get involved in some way, shape, or form? So hopefully Pam Bondi can somehow do something. I don't know how that works, but it does sound like there's reason to be suspicious. Georgia judge drops 3 charges from the Trump 2020 election interference case. Charges 14, 15, and 27. I think 2 of those do apply to Trump, but there's still 32 remaining charges. So don't get too terribly excited about this non-news news. But yeah, they don't even mention in this article what the hell those specific charges are. I don't believe. Significant appearances of improprieties. Anyway, that's why she dropped out. Yeah, but they don't even say what those are. Whatever. It's all conspiracy nonsense. Whatever. Judge bars Trump from slashing funding for University of California. I love this. Another district court. Lynn is the last name. I'm sure I think she was, well, I can't say she's necessarily. We'll see. One of these days I'll see a picture of her. But she did a preliminary injunction against threats to funding, citing the administration's repeated vow to launch civil rights investigations to justify severing those funds. They're not following the no boys and girls sports and locker rooms. They're not doing a number of things. And this judge is like, he can't take funding back even if they don't do what's part of the administration. I love it. I love it how these judges are. I mean, there's no way that'll work, and it's all cool. He's not going to like suddenly give them the money. She's even talking about the threat of withholding funds. He's not even allowed to do that. You can't even threaten it. Like I mean, again, she's obviously, I would guess she's Asian, so maybe she's got the communism baked into her. It might be racist to say it in a way because she might not necessarily be Chinese. Maybe she's North Korean. I don't know. Anti-Trump media gadfly at NIH put on paid leave for second investigation since pandemic director. She's a director. She's trying to hide behind this clause where, well, I'm a scientist, so I'm allowed to talk about the science. But it's like, she's not a scientist. She's not employed as a scientist. She's actually an administrator, essentially. She's in charge of groups. She's not in charge of doing science. So she's using some antiquated and incorrect interpretations of the law. She has been put on suspension with pay, and they have not given a reason for it, which I'm sure it's because the lawyers are trying to figure out, like, what can we probably get away with firing her for, especially considering the Senate just signed that weird bill recently, so maybe they've got to take that into account too. We'll see how this one plays out, but it will probably be for cause in some way, shape, or form. Callie Means claims that Maha is being sabotaged from within. We've got to keep these things in mind because that was kind of an example of it.
Speak to us about the many reports that RFKJU are being undermined from within.
So I was forwarded from one of the good career employees, and just so everyone knows, the FDA, when Marty McCary, who's a hero, came in, he's amazing. For a couple of months, he had just around 10 political appointees. So those are people he was actually able to choose. Jay Bhattacharya at the NIH had 1. So every employee in government is these deep staters. They've been there for a long time. And I got an email from one of the good ones, and they're sending around a CIA manual called How to Be a Bad Bureaucrat and Subvert an Institution from Within. Wow. And they said that 90% of employees at HHS, which has 70,000 employees, are working and talking in the lunchroom about this manual and telling each other that their job is to save America and save science from the agenda of President Trump and RFK. That is how people think throughout, I think, every major department.
How do we get rid of them? Yes, right.
This is where the PSYOP comes in. The CDC has been, can you think of a better case study of failure? Can you think of a better public health disaster than the COVID response, where the CDC accidentally, in their guidance on school lockdowns, copy and pasted directly from the teacher union document who they were in bed with. They copy and pasted the paragraphs from the teachers union saying that we should shut schools down for 2 years. They said that cloth masks were fine, right? They
also funded the whole pandemic.
Not to mention, with the NIH, funding literally the creation of the pandemic with the gain of function research. I mean, you could not have a bigger example of failure. RFK correctly fires 3 employees, and it is national news.
Again, when you think about how corrupted things were, it's. Well, I was talking this morning with my gentleman friends that I hang out with. Sometimes lady shows up, but at the coffee shop, one I used to work at. And we are, I think things are so bad that it's actually almost hard for people to believe it. Like, it's so bad. They're like, it can't be that bad. They can't be lying to us that much. And it's like, now they are, yeah. No, it's. I mean, it's probably worse, frankly, than we're actually aware of. Frankly, they're like, I think it's blowing people's brains up. Great example. Well, talking about Nicole Shanahan, she dropped some stunning warnings. Talking about every farmer, parent, and consumer in the world needs to hear this. This is concerning for sure, and hopefully our good friend Kennedy is helping with this too.
We are now on the precipice of being forced to inject our cattle with the mRNA vaccine. So just like we talk about medical freedom for humans and the desire to not have mandates telling us what we have to put in our bodies, food freedom is an extension of that. We want the ability to eat meat that isn't full of these inputs. We'd also like to be fully informed. I mean, let's talk about the Nuremberg trials, right? The idea that humans have a right to be fully informed about what they're putting into their bodies. Food freedom is a really big part of that.
Yeah, I'm sure we wouldn't get along, like, just ideologically. I think she's super socialist, probably, I think. But I think she's rich, too, which, whatever, doesn't matter. But damn, she's hot. My God, chick's smoking hot. Shanahan, dang girl. All right, Ford CEO claims he can't fill 5,000 mechanic jobs that pay $120,000 a year. Any of you guys out there that are seriously mechanics, reach out to Ford, Ford.com. Probably go to the look for jobs where seriously, if you know how to wrench and you're not making 120 grand, which I get if you're actually really good and you're in a place where you can make rate, that's probably not very, I mean, you probably make more than that a year, but if you're in a place where you're just wrenching by the hour, 120 grand a year is not too bad, I would think, for wrenching. Also, again, another skill. That's good. There's schools that teach how to do that stuff. We need to learn skills. We need to learn how to build shit again. We need to stop, I don't know, making videos. A Fed study vindicates Trump trade policy. So 150 years of evidence shows tariffs lower inflations. What the long story of this? I'm gonna kind of laugh a little bit about all this because, you know, I've mentioned it the other day and I'm going to mention it again. So again, I got to call our side out when we're a little off. I'm not trying to piss Trump off. I'm not trying to be a Marjorie Taylor Greene, but, you know, there are times where you got to at least speak the truth, right? But long story on this, and this is what it goes against what everybody's claimed would happen. Using a standard economic model, researchers estimated the effects of tariff shock on the inflation and unemployment. A roughly 4 percentage point increase in average tariffs lowered inflation by about 2 percentage points while raising unemployment by 1 percentage point. So it lowers inflation by 2 points, but you gain unemployment by 1 point. Now, why do you think Trump's been trying so hard to bring back a lot of these companies? Trump's been trying so hard to, get certain jobs brought back here, get us working in different ways. So he's trying to tackle this from two angles simultaneously. We're going to lower the prices by tariffs, and I'm doing these other things to bring in more growth. He's trying to get the interest rate lowered because that'll help spur growth and, well, jobs and growth, but certainly jobs. So he's trying to hit this from a few angles. And people just really don't necessarily appreciate what Trump does. It's easier to criticize than it is to appreciate, because to appreciate, you've truly got to kind of understand how economics works. You've got to understand how tariffs work, which most people don't. Even the experts were getting it wrong. So again, you were finding the costs were going down by 2%, but unemployment, you take a hit, 1%. So you got to balance those things. You just do that by bringing in more jobs, more investment, more and closing down government to some extent. So that's going to create job loss as well. We'll see how things go. But Trump signs an executive order lowering tariffs on several agricultural imports, including beef, coffee, and bananas. Why? Because they raised the prices. Prices went up on these particular items. So not everything is tariff proof, right? But the overarching 2% down in price, 1% up on unemployment. Some products apparently got to be dealt with on individual bases, which is generally how it works whenever you make a rule. Sometimes you've just got to handle the exceptions, and you kick the exceptions to a place, and if you can process through those in a programmed way, you do. If not, you have a human work on them, whatever. You You gotta cover like the 80-20 kind of rule, or hopefully more than that if you can, if you get lucky. I kind of miss my old coding stuff I used to do. I really do. Anyway, I mean, I love doing this. Don't get me wrong, but I enjoy doing that too. It was part of why they kept asking me, like, why did you stay? You're making good money, and I'm like, I like it. I like my team. Gold and silver are down, which is cool. Again, makes it more easy to buy. 5% down in silver, which is great. It's at $50 though, which is still fantastic. I'm just telling you guys, you want to save money, I want to offer you up something sweet for November. It takes about 5 to 6 days to close a sale if you've got all your ducks in a row. If it closes in November, I've got a sweet deal for you. If you got a 401k or an IRA, you can get out of it into precious metals IRA and protect your wealth. You protect your buying power is what you're doing. Whatever you can buy with the amount of dollars you have right now, you're going to lock that into precious metals. That'll hold that buying power. So whatever happens over the next bit of time, and likely if you pick up some extra silver, which you will, silver's actually got a bit of a multiplier kicked in because of paper contracts and a number of things. It's used in manufacturing. So let's leave all that out. Let's just say it's a 1-for-1 like it's been. It's going to hold its buying power. So if you've got enough money right now to put a down payment on a car, cool, bring it over. Anything over $10,000, they're going to work with you. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Even if you just got a little bit of money in your 401k and you're working and they're matching you, keep pumping money into it. Just divest out of it. It's cool. It won't matter. And you can keep putting money into it and maybe hit us back up later on down the road if you get more money into it. But outside of that, I mean, you don't want to give up free money. I don't blame you. But you'll have the IRA. You'll be able to actually invest into that instead if you want. It's up to you. But anything over, anything over 10,000, you're set. You're going to get up to 10% free silver from Goldco, up to 10%. In the case of, like I said, let's use 100,000 as a good example, because right now, $100,000, what's that? In California, it's a solid down payment on a home for sure. Or in some places, you probably outright almost buy a home. Some people are crazy. You can buy a really nice car. All right, whatever. It'll hold that buying power. So take that $100,000. Okay, move it over, tax-free, penalty-free, into an IRA precious metals account. It's actual physical metals. They can't send those to you, those metals anyway, because that's payout. You're going to get taxed and penalized if they do that. Anyone that says they can do it otherwise, you're being given your money. That's a payout. You're going to get taxed and penalized. So they're not being ingenuous, or they're being disingenuous with you. This is legit. Tax-free, penalty-free. You're moving over as much of it as you can. Okay? Then on top of that, here's the part you get to take home. Up to 10% free silver. So in the case of $100,000, you're going to get $10,000 free silver from my good friends at Goldco. $10,000 of free silver to you and me out of my pocket. 1%. So $1,000 of silver going to you from me. You're going to get up to, in the case of $100,000, you're going to get $11,000 of free silver sent to you. It's silver in your hands without any major problems. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. This is only for sales that close in the month of November. It's a special deal we're doing. It's kind of crazy. There's some paperwork weirdos, that stuff that, again, it was a pain in the ass, but we managed to do this. And I'm giving back to you guys because I love you guys. This is the month to close. I don't know how much longer we got. I think that's part of why it's happening. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Tax-free, penalty-free. Up to 10% free silver from Goldco, 1% silver, anything over 10,000 is 1% guarantee to you from me. I love you. Thank you. Thank you for trusting Goldco to help you do this. And you're also probably going to get a collectible Ronald Reagan coin. It's a half ounce pure silver, 0.999%. It's got Ronald Reagan saluting on the front. It's freaking cool as hell. And you're going to get your gold and silver playbook. These are important things. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Get out of that stupid system before that stupid system jumps out of you, and they want to. Tulsi Gabbard is going to release the information that they've got on Amelia Earhart and what happened to her. I kind of wonder what it is. I don't know if they found her. I think they maybe found her is my guess. My other favorite theory is that she landed on an island and got eaten by the coconut crabs, which is horrendous. Man, just do some research on coconut crabs. That'll freak you out. Freak you out. They'll actually just eat you. They'll eat you. I mean, you can eat them. They're not the most tasty. I've seen people eat them. They're edible though. They're not. I mean, if you're stuck on an island and they couldn't eat you, and you can somehow stay in a place that you're safe where they couldn't get to you, yeah, you could eat them. You wouldn't want to. Seoul and Washington have reached an agreement on the construction of the American nuclear submarine by South Korea. This trips me out. Some people are pissed. They're like, "Well, I thought you were bringing stuff home." Well, submarines are the one thing we actually do build here. Maybe we're trying to get some more people to be able to build them because we want to create more of them, and that would make sense. Why we're trusting South Korea so much? I don't know. This bugs me a lot. Now, again, this could go back to some of my previous theories. I don't want to dig into them too hard right now, but the way we make subs, it's very modular. It's a technology that's pretty superior to anybody else. Like Russia would love to know how to do that. China would love to know how to do that. So I trust what's happening, maybe, or maybe this shouldn't be happening, and Trump would be like, "Wait, what?" This might have been a deal that was made with Biden. I don't know. This doesn't feel right. That's all. I don't like it. Bipartisan congressional report finds CCP manipulates global mineral prices. Anyone shocked? You shouldn't be. But yeah, they've been trying to control that market. They realized what's up. That was smart of them. That was very smart of them, by the way. And very dumb of us to kind of just be like, yeah, no, we'll get them from China because we can totally trust them. China would never lie to us. Iran seizes a Marshall Island flagged tanker, which is essentially a United States territory. So, yeah, needless to say, we had a drone flying over, a Reaper drone flying over them. We supposedly saw the entire thing. They had a Navy MQ-4C Triton drone had been circling the area. So they know what happened, where it went, what's up, probably communications, when it shut off its transponder, the whole 9 yards, which happened at 8:22 local time in the morning. So, again, it was right off the coast of UAE. It was supposedly operating for UAE. Something about this doesn't seem right either. I'm assuming that United States is contacting Iran. They're like, so you're going to do the right thing, right? Like, I'm assuming these are just some weird radicals that did this, right? Some pirates, let's call them. You take care of this. You get this ship back to where it needs to get back to, and we won't blow you up more. Because this stealing our ship stuff's not cool. It did have fuel on it, apparently high sulfur content, gasoline, or fuel to that regard. Russia's still open to a Trump-backed peace talk, but Ukraine must open the door. That's true, because Europe and Ukraine will not let this war go, will they? Deep state can't. Nuclear plant in southern Russia was taken offline after a Ukrainian drone attack. Supposedly they shot down the drones. One of them kind of damaged some mutant, I don't know, whatever, some weird piece of equipment in there that they were worried about causing a problem. Ended up not being that big a deal. They brought it back online very shortly after. There it was switchgear. Yeah, that's basically what I was saying. Whatever. Switch, tomato, tomato, porcupine. Yeah. Steak and Shake. They're doing something cool. They're the ones that brought tallow back to make their fries, one of the first, which is pretty awesome. And now they're bringing in the A2 milk, which some of you guys may be like me, didn't realize that there's two different weird proteins in milk, and one of them, the A1 protein, is the one that a lot of people are having digestion problems with, and that the A2 protein generally is easier. Maybe not for everybody. Some people might still be like, dude, I can't drink that one either. But it's supposedly better. And again, I think raw milk's one of those things too, where there's probably more of the A2 protein or completely A2 protein. Whatever the case is, this is something cool that Steak and Shake is doing. They're only going to be doing the A2 protein milk for their shakes, which means one, it's still milk, and then two, it's actually going to be less physical problems. So Steak and Shake, good on you guys. You guys are doing good stuff. I don't think I've ever actually been to a Steak and Shake in my life. Do they have them? I wonder if they have them in Ohio. I know I got to go to that chili place, the chili corn dog place or whatever. Chili dog place? Yeah. Castles or something like that? Whatever it is. That place was interesting. It was good. It was interesting. It's a fast food place, so it's not like you're, it's kind of like I feel like when you go to In-N-Out, and a lot of people are like, oh, it's the best burger ever. Really? It's not the best burger ever. No, not even close. Get out of here. Shut up. Yeah. I mean, even Five Guys or the other brothers or whatever that one. Like, there's better burger joints. They're just way more expensive. But In-N-Out does a damn good fast food burger. It's a damn good fast food burger. Probably one of the best fast food burgers that you can get. But it's still a fast food burger. Waymo is launching its first U.S. freeway robo-taxis in California and Arizona. Man, if you are ready to hop into a car with nobody driving it and put your life in the hands of technology, you are questionable intelligence at best. But go for it, man. Hopefully you're transgender or you're, hardcore left, like progressive person. Like, yes, Waymo is the way to go. I hear the drivers have actual, like, them, they pronouns. So awesome. You should totally ride them all the time, as often as you can. Disney and YouTube have reached a deal to restore ABC and ESPN on streamer. I had someone that got mad at me that I was, well, not mad, he didn't say mad, he was informing me that there are some people out there in the audience that maybe get to watch ESPN and certain games because they get the YouTube package or someone provides them access to a YouTube package. And I expressed that there are other ways to find these games sometimes. All said, they're coming back, so that should hopefully make everybody happy. Everybody happy. Yay! And finally, Shohei Ohtani, I don't know, I think that's how he says his name. But yeah, his dog is kind of just cute. Anyway, first off, they're Japanese, and you guys know my problems with the Asian culture, and the Japan culture is actually the first one I really, truly fell in love with. One thing that's very interesting specifically about the Japanese culture is they do not do PDA, public displays of affection. That ain't happening. That is not normal. That is extraordinarily rare. They never show that kind of stuff. So that's like crazy. So his lovely wife, Mamiko Tanaka, and their dog, Decoy. And if you think about the name Decoy, and then watch the video of when he found out the MVP thing, Decoy fits rather well. Check it out.
Now it's time for the moment of truth, my friend. Give us the National League MVP.
The National League MVP is Shohei Ohtani.
All right. So he kissed his dog, not his wife, and people are like, that's crazy. First off, he put his hand on his wife, and she was happy. And you notice when she first, like, she never thought that kiss was coming to her. Never once. She knew the kiss was coming for the dog. They loved the stupid dog. Dog probably had no idea why the hell he's getting public display of affection. He's like, come on, guys, you guys know this is culturally not cool. But I think that's the one place where they're, like, allowed to, right? So, again, a lot of humor came from this. But, yeah, the big kiss. The kiss heard around the world. And people were like, why didn't he kiss her? Because they don't do that. It's, like, weird. But, anyway, the dog's, like, super famous now. That's pretty cool. Anyway, whatever the case is. Proud of this dude. Proud of him. He's a big guy, too. Big Japanese feller. Daggum, as Burchette would say. That's right. I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. Hope you're enjoying your Saturday and Sunday, depending on when you're watching this. I'll probably try to get a video out tomorrow. I'm expecting it to be short. That's my hope. And we'll see. Those are oftentimes famous last words. But that said, yeah, I got some buddies coming over for a football game. My team's playing their team, and it's actually going to be on the normal cable channels, so I get to watch it like without having to do crazy shit. So it'll be awesome. It'll be awesome. I'm excited. I love you guys. I also got the $5 meeting that's going to be coming up here in about 2 hours. Not that it matters to you guys right now, but if you look at the, you can't see the clock on the TV on the computer. I think I'm in the way. Can I get away? Yeah, you can't really see it. Fuck it, doesn't matter. Oh, whatever the case is. Have a wonderful day, guys. Hopefully I see a few of you here coming up shortly in my world. And hopefully you guys enjoy your weekend and enjoy the video, for that matter. We will be talking to you soon. But I love you guys. We're going to continue to move forward. A lot of things are going on. Be on the lookout, guys. They're just, I don't know. Just it's hard to give advice because a lot of us are supposed to go in these directions. And so whatever, just follow your heart, I guess. But understand that there are a lot of people that are messing with the information that we are expected to believe. And there's maybe good reasons, maybe bad reasons, don't know. But just be mindful, I guess. The more awake and aware you are, the better you're going to be helping the big picture, I feel. We'll see how it plays out in the big picture. But I love you guys. When we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.